Good news is something we all could use right now, and when it involves money going directly into the hands of American citizens, especially retirees who have worked hard their whole lives, it's worth paying attention to. Recently, there's been a wave of excitement as new announcements surrounding Social Security have made their way into headlines. At the center of it is former President Donald Trump, and an executive action that has sent shockwaves through both the political and financial landscape. For millions who depend on Social Security benefits to cover daily expenses, pay bills, or simply find a little extra breathing room in their monthly budget, the latest update is nothing short of a big deal. The idea that Social Security payments could be increasing immediately, not in some distant future, but this very month, has created a ripple of anticipation, and understandably so. After years of concern about inflation, shrinking purchasing power, and uncertainty over whether Social Security would remain stable, this kind of development feels like a ray of hope cutting through the clouds. The conversation around Social Security is never just about numbers. It's about people. It's about seniors deciding whether they can afford their prescriptions, whether they can visit their grandchildren without stressing about travel costs, whether heating bills in the winter will be manageable, and whether rising grocery prices will eat into every penny of their checks. For decades, Americans have paid into this system, contributing faithfully during their working years, and the expectation is simple, that the system should support them when they need it most. That's why the idea of an executive order aimed at boosting payments, even modestly, carries such emotional weight. It's not just a financial adjustment. It's a gesture that says the contributions of everyday Americans matter, that promises made will be promises kept, and that government leaders are taking notice of the struggles ordinary people face. Of course, whenever Trump makes a move, it generates debate. Supporters point to this executive action as proof of his long-standing commitment to put America first and prioritize the financial well-being of citizens over bureaucratic red tape. They see it as a direct way to deliver results without waiting on Congress to navigate endless partisan battles. Critics, on the other hand, question how sustainable such moves are, asking where the money will come from and whether short-term boosts could create long-term strains. But regardless of where one stands politically, the immediate reality remains clear. Beneficiaries will see larger checks this month. For those on fixed incomes, that's not politics, it's survival. What makes this moment especially compelling is the timing. Over the past couple of years, Americans have been battered by inflation. Prices at the gas pump, the grocery store, and even basic utility bills have skyrocketed, leaving many seniors wondering whether their Social Security checks would stretch far enough. While annual cost of living adjustments have attempted to offset inflation, many recipients feel they lag behind the actual increases in everyday costs. To hear that relief is arriving quickly, through executive action, is enough to capture attention. It touches on something universal, the desire for security, stability, and acknowledgement that the system people paid into is still working for them. There's also the broader narrative of trust in government. Many Americans feel disillusioned, questioning whether leaders really understand what ordinary citizens face. An announcement like this becomes more than dollars and cents. It becomes symbolic. It suggests that someone in power is listening, that the voices of retirees and workers who contributed for decades are not ignored. For some, it feels like justice, a reminder that Social Security is not charity, but a right earned through years of contribution. And when leaders take action that directly impacts lives in a positive way, it temporarily bridges the growing gap between government decisions and public needs. This is where storytelling and reality converge. Imagine the retiree living in a modest apartment who has been juggling whether to fill prescriptions or buy groceries. Imagine the widow whose monthly check barely covers rent, but who now finds just a little more breathing space. Imagine the couple who worked blue-collar jobs for decades, now able to consider small joys like visiting family without panic about the cost of gas. These are the lives touched by a policy shift. While critics may dive into policy mechanics, ordinary Americans feel the results most immediately and most personally. It's also worth noting how executive orders themselves function. Unlike legislation passed through Congress, executive orders allow presidents to act swiftly, sometimes sidestepping political gridlock. While they can be challenged or reversed down the line, the immediate effect is often decisive. That immediacy is what makes this development so powerful. People aren't being told to wait until next year or the next budget cycle. They are seeing results right away. In a climate where promises often feel delayed or diluted, the prospect of instant impact resonates deeply. For many, this news has sparked cautious optimism. Some celebrate wholeheartedly, believing this proves their years of paying into the system are finally paying off. Others remain skeptical, wondering if the boost will last or if it's merely a temporary political move. Yet, even skepticism does not erase the tangible reality of seeing larger deposits or checks arrive this month. In a country where financial stress is one of the leading sources of anxiety, the simple fact of extra dollars showing up in Social Security payments is enough to bring relief, even if just for the short term. The question that naturally follows is, what does this mean for the future of Social Security? An immediate boost in payments sets a precedent that millions will welcome, but it also stirs a broader conversation about sustainability and fairness. Supporters of the executive action argue that the Social Security Trust Fund has long been mismanaged and that political leaders have kicked the can down the road rather than addressing the urgent needs of citizens today. They insist that putting money back into the hands of retirees is not just an act of kindness, but a moral responsibility. After all, these are benefits earned over decades of labor, not gifts handed out. Critics, however, caution that quick fixes may deepen underlying financial challenges within the system. They raise questions about whether short-term relief could lead to larger funding gaps down the line. Yet, for those cashing their checks right now, theoretical long-term debates don't put food on the table. The reality that dollars are showing up this month matters more than forecasts about what might happen 10 or 20 years from now. In communities across America, this development is already sparking conversations. In local diners, community centers, churches, and even barber shops, seniors are discussing what this increase means for them. Some are talking about catching up on overdue bills. Others are thinking about small joys they've had to put off, like going out to dinner, fixing a leaky roof, or buying gifts for grandchildren. These aren't luxury expenditures. They are the everyday realities of people who have worked hard and want to live with dignity in retirement. The sense of being recognized, of having their concerns directly addressed, creates a ripple of gratitude and relief. For many, this month's Social Security increase feels like validation after years of financial worry. It's also important to recognize the psychological impact. Money is not only about numbers in a bank account, it's about peace of mind. When seniors know that their Social Security checks will stretch a little further, it relieves the heavy burden of constant worry. That psychological lift translates into better health, stronger communities, and a renewed sense of trust in leadership. Even if the increase isn't massive, the symbolic gesture of putting retirees first is enough to rekindle hope. After years of headlines warning that Social Security might collapse or be reduced, news of an increase has the power to shift the conversation from fear to possibility. In closing, the headline, "Good News. New Trump Executive Order Means Bigger Social Security Payments." This month is more than just a line meant to grab attention. It represents a reality that touches millions of lives. It embodies relief, recognition, and reassurance in a time when those qualities are desperately needed. Whether this increase becomes part of a larger trend or remains a singular event, its impact in the present cannot be overstated. For retirees who have worried endlessly about making ends meet, this month brings a rare gift, a chance to breathe a little easier, to feel seen and to trust, if only for a moment, that promises made are promises kept. That is the power of good news, and that is why this moment matters.